Exposure to energized electrical wires is the most common and probably the most dangerous electricity-related situation emergency responders can face. When you encounter any downed wires, including telephone and cable television wires, always assume the line is energized until it is identified or proven de-energized by a qualified Edison person. If you are first on the scene of a downed or sagging wire incident, park away from overhead wires and stay in your vehicle until you have carefully examined the incident area. It is impossible to determine if a wire is energized by its appearance. While some wires will jump, whip around, curl up, make loud sounds, or emit showers of sparks, others will lie there, silent. Disconnected wires may be live, but not arcing. Also, automatic switching equipment far away from the scene can re-energize wires without notice. Do not attempt to move down wires. On all down wire incidents, call Edison and set up a safety perimeter at least 30 feet away from the wire. Continue to secure the scene until an Edison employee or other authorized person arrives to eliminate the electrical hazard. It is important to visualize the flow of electricity from pole to ground. At night, use a light to trace all conductors from pole to pole until you've determined the full extent of the damage and the location of all the downed wires. Be extremely careful in high vegetation areas where wires can be camouflaged or hidden, especially at night. As you track the wire's path, locate all wire ends and stay clear. Always be on the alert for conductive materials that may be in contact with the fallen wire. This includes metal fences, guardrails, signposts, sheds, and other metal structures. A metal fence, for example, can conduct electricity anywhere along its length, which could be a considerable distance from the wire. If a downed or sagging wire is touching a vehicle, fence, pool of water, or other conductive element, that element is as dangerous as the wire itself. Remember that even wood can be a conductor when wet or dirty. Touch potential occurs when a person creates a current path to ground by touching an energized object. Here's a rule you should never forget. Never touch wires, equipment, or objects that may be energized. If you are holding a low-voltage wire that suddenly becomes energized, your muscles could be restricted in a vice grip. Once your heart muscle is paralyzed, the effects of low-voltage contact are the same as high-voltage contact. 10% of the voltage it takes to light a 100-watt light bulb with typical household current is enough to cause serious injury or death.
My body immediately went into a full contraction. Every muscle in the body immediately contracts. It's the most excruciating pain I've ever had. And that basically was, receiving the shock.
Emergencies involving underground manholes or vaults are high-risk situations for first responders, even if the appearance above ground is benign. If flammable gases are present in the manhole, removing the cover could provide enough oxygen or sparking to cause an explosion. If gases are present in the cable ducts that run from manhole to manhole, there could be additional explosions in adjacent manholes. If an underground transformer in the vault has failed and the oil is above the ignition temperature, it could explode without notice. In the underground environment, one failure in the system has the capacity to cause additional equipment or cable failures. The resulting explosions could seriously harm you and others nearby. Here's what to do. Call Edison. Give the location, the vault or vent pipe identification number, number of manholes involved, and the nature of the emergency. Establish a safety zone. Keep the public away and route traffic around the area. Don't park vehicles near vault or manhole covers or vents. If the cover is in place and smoke is coming from the holes in the cover, do not attempt to remove it until the conditions have been thoroughly discussed with a qualified Edison representative. Never spray water or foam into an underground structure, even if a fire is visible, unless the structure has been de-energized. Large switches, transformers, and other electrical equipment reside in pad-mounted structures, usually installed near the street in residential and commercial neighborhoods. When responding to an incident involving a pad-mounted structure, Here's what to do. Assume that the structure and anything touching it is energized, and do not approach the pad-mounted equipment. Call Edison and give the operator the street address and any equipment number you can see on the pad-mounted unit involved. Never attempt to open the doors. Remember step and touch potential. If fire is involved, treat the situation as you would any Class C fire. Protect exposures and wait for Edison to de-energize the equipment before fighting the fire or attempting a rescue. Your first task on a pole fire is to identify the problem, because your response depends on what is on fire and where the fire is on the pole. Most fires at the top of the pole are pole-top equipment fires, involving a transformer, capacitor, insulator, switch, automatic switch, or other apparatus attached to the pole. Consider these energized electrical fires as Class C. Do not spray water, foam, or gel onto any pole-top equipment or fires at the top of a pole. Call Edison and wait for a qualified utility worker to arrive. Generally, fires at the base of the pole are common Class A combustible fires that should be contained. If it is evident that the fire at the base of the pole was caused by ground fire, you can put it out. However, if ground fire does not appear to be the cause, be aware that the problem could be caused by underground electrical conditions or a downed wire. Contact Edison to de-energize the location before doing anything more. Set up a safety perimeter at least 30 feet away from the pole and continue to secure the scene. In cases where fire has created the possibility of a pole falling on a structure, consult your departmental policy on how to act. If the policy is to contain the fire, use a fog pattern as your response. When you arrive at the scene of a structure fire, locate the power sources and the electrical equipment you could come into contact with. Be careful not to stage units under overhead wires. Communicate those potential dangers with your coworkers. Then contact Edison according to your department's policy. One of your first tasks should be to disconnect the utilities within the structure by opening the main circuit breaker at the panel. If the main circuit breaker won't open all of the individual circuit breakers. If the panel cannot be utilized, the power supply to the structure should be interrupted. This should only be done by Edison. When working outside, stay clear of metal gutters and other materials that conduct electricity. Never prop ladders on or near anything that could come in contact with energized wires. Never use metallic ladders near any energized equipment. Even wooden ladders can conduct electricity if they aren't completely clean and dry. Stay away from service drops or weather heads. Be aware that some structures may have more than one service drop, and each service drop and weather head can vary in design. Most electric wires are not insulated, although they may appear to be because of a protective coating. We recommend that you never cut any electrical conductor. Cutting wires exposes you to potential electric contact or flashes, which can cause serious, even fatal injuries. If you feel it is necessary to de-energize an electrical conductor immediately, call Edison for assistance. While it may seem obvious, never pull an electric meter to de-energize a structure. Meters are not switches. They could explode. Vehicle-hit poles are a relatively common occurrence, and electrical danger is not always evident. So when you first arrive at the scene, notify Edison through your normal communication procedure of the exact street address or the closest street address. This will enable Edison to expedite a response to the incident. Set up a safety perimeter at least 30 feet away to restrict access and protect the public, and avoid staging under overhead wires. Never attempt to move down power lines. If people are inside the vehicle with a wire down, but there is no fire and no one is injured, the safest place for them is inside the vehicle until the line has been de-energized. From a distance, instruct them to stay in the car until the energized wire can be removed by a qualified person.
Sure, don't move. Do not Back it out of the vehicle.
If the victim is conscious and there is a vehicle fire or other immediate threat, fight the urge to approach the vehicle. You could move into the electrically charged area. From a distance, establish contact with the victim and instruct him or her to stay put and listen.
Okay, I want you to stay in the car, okay? Don't do anything until I tell you to, because you can be electrocuted. Bravo 51, can you have Edison respond? What I'm gonna do, sir, is have you jump out of the car, but don't do anything until I tell you to, okay? I'm gonna have you open the door. I'm gonna get you to step on the door ledge, okay? Go ahead and open the door right now. Okay, go ahead and step up on the door ledge and don't do anything more. You're gonna have to jump out of the car. Don't do it at this time. You're gonna have to land with both feet on the ground at the same time, okay? Jump away from the car. Go ahead and do that now.
Instruct the victim that he must jump clear and avoid touching the vehicle and the ground at the same time. If he touches the energized vehicle while his feet are on the ground, he becomes the path to ground. When electricity enters the ground, it radiates out in concentric circles, or rings, like the ripples in water when a pebble is dropped in. Each ring has a different voltage, dropping off from the center to the outer edges. If you step one foot on one ring and the other foot on another ring, you're stepping on two different voltages that the electricity has to bridge. That gap between your steps is called step potential. The same thing is true if you jump out and lose your balance, causing your feet to land on one ring and your hand on another. Eliminate the gap and you eliminate the need for electricity to travel through your body. Walk in a shuffling motion at least 30 feet away from the source of electricity. If the victim is unconscious with a vehicle fire or imminent threat, the victim must not be removed from the vehicle until the wire is cleared away and secured by a qualified electrical worker. If you follow your natural impulse and attempt to remove the wire, you could easily become the next casualty. Edison strongly discourages moving wires under any circumstances. However, exceptional situations may arise in which your first response team feels that action is imperative. In that case, your department policy should instruct you on how to act. Only you can determine the urgency of the situation. Wildland fires can occur in many parts of this region. The most important thing to remember is to maintain a safe distance from the power lines, 1.5 times the height of the power line structure. Restrict public access outside that safe approach area. Do not consider cleared areas around Edison towers or poles as a safe haven during a wildland fire just because they are relatively free from vegetation. Look out for power lines in and around the fire area. During suppression operations, crews involved in fire line construction or extending hose lines need to be aware of the dangers of working under or near power lines. Direct flame impingement, smoke contaminants, fire retardant, foam, or water can conduct electricity directly to ground or across insulators to ground through the pole or tower. These conditions can cause power lines to arc, similar to a lightning strike and just as dangerous. Remember to treat all downed wires as if they were energized. Downed wires can energize fences, equipment, phone lines, cable lines, and any other conductive material, wood or metal. Communicate with your crews. Tell them the location of all power lines that are or could be involved in the incident. Communicate with Edison to report any damage or potential damage to power lines, and give an exact location for the Edison crews who will respond. Inform Edison of any backfires or aerial drops that are planned around power lines. Edison will provide a representative to assist in identifying potential hazards. Avoid identifying escape routes that would take personnel under or near power lines. Choose a safe escape route away from power lines. Because of the risk of arcing caused by fire and smoke, safety zones must not be located under or near power lines. Fire shelter material is conductive and may attract an arc if a power line faults to ground. The same rule applies to the incident command post. Do not locate the ICP or park equipment under power lines. Aircraft should avoid all power lines in and around the incident. Pilots should never fly lower than the power line tower or structure. Aircraft should stay away from the power lines when making drops on fires. Aerial drops of fire retardant, foam, or water can damage insulators and create a conductive path to ground through a pole or tower. These agents can also provide a conductive path between wires, causing a fault or arc that may cause damage and lead to wire-down hazards. Extinguish pole fires in wildland fire areas as soon as they are discovered. Burning or smoldering poles left behind in a burn area can eventually end up as wire-down hazards for firefighters. All responders should take special precautions to avoid down wires after a wildland fire.